doing so many things tonight, so I said, well, maybe we'll do the table, then we'll push that to the side.
You got it.
Me?
Yeah, this is gonna be right
Oh,
behind the camera. I don't want
why don't I go to the side?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right there.
Fine. Okay. I'll be well.
Tell me whenever you're ready. All right, start up. All right, thank you everyone for coming. We're all set. First of all, for the people at home, we apologize. We had a little technical difficulties in regard to the streaming, but I think we're all okay now. So thank you for coming to the third budget meeting for the school year of 23-24. So now what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be reviewing the administrative portion as well as the capital portion of the proposed budget. Once again, like last year, these are just preliminary numbers that we're working on right now. The numbers are still subject to change, but that's what we're working on so far. So tonight, we're going to start with the administrative component of the budget. Now, just to refresh everyone from the last meeting, what is the administrative portion of the budget? It relates to the boards of education, central office expenses, the financials, the legal services, BOCES administrative fees, insurance, professional curriculum development, and the benefits associated with all the salaries that are in these codes. So let's get right into it. So now if you remember last week, 2 weeks ago, we actually said there was different sections of the budget. When you start with the first four numbers, remember we were talking about the first four numbers would be, for the 1,000s would be the general budget. Well, that's what we're going to start with now. The 1010s relate to the Board of Education. The 1040s relate to the district clerk. The first couple of lines, as you'll see, we have the proposed budget in the 23-24 section. You see the percent change of everything. So the first thing is the contractual expenses. The advertising that the Board of Education has for certain expenses throughout the school year. Any conferences specifically in regard to board, new board training, things along those lines, board retreats that are required legally for us to do. Supplies from the Board of Education. Then you have the contractual salaries for the district clerk, the services, the supplies for the district clerk office, as well as the expenses for the district meeting. As you see, it's going up about $7,000 proposed for next year. One of the main reasons is to make sure that we have enough money if there has to be a second budget vote each year. So that's one of the reasons why that one's going up as much. And the expenses to run the budget have gone up year to year. The next section is the superintendent's office. You have the salaries, which is all contractual. You have the contract services of that office. Basically, that relates to any type of residency, hearings that we may have, things along those lines. Any conferences from that office, supplies to run that office, and any publications that come out of that office, either be the Newsday or anything along those lines. The next is the business office. The 1310 is all the business office. The first line, you'll see the 100s are the salaries, and that's all contractual. You'll see that the equipment for the business office is going up with $1,100. That's in case the printer's starting to go for checks that we have to do each month, every bi-week that we have to do. So in case that winds up going, we have to do that. The contractual services, you see is going up $2,000. That's in regard to all the contracts that we have through the business office. The copier charges, that's just the additional expenses we have above and beyond our fees for our copiers. We haven't had much the past couple of years, which is good. We got to keep something in there just to be safe. Mileage is in regard to any conferences that we have, and then you see the conferences for the 400s going down a little bit for next year. The next one you'll see is the 1310-407. The consultant for that, you'll see that one's going up. That is the Affordable Care Act. That's Obamacare that we have to do. It's a unfunded mandate that we have to designate who has insurance and whether it's affordable along those lines. And that's getting more and more in depth as we have more and more employees each year, just to make sure that we're following all the requirements for that. The supplies are the supplies for the business office. Postage, anything that we send out from the business office for the postage expense. Just so you know, the postage is also going up a little bit next year for stamps. Then we have the 490s, which is the BOCES expenses we have. State aid planning, that's in regard to all the state aid that we have. It's a service through BOCES that explains everything to make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to be going. The BOCES Flex Plan, that's the flex plan that you have that you put money aside for the medical expenses or childcare. That's the fee that's associated with it for the district. And then GASB 45, that's another one of the unfunded mandates that we have in regard to the accounting requirements. There's numerous different GASBs that we have to follow, and there's a service that BOCES that assists the district in being able to do that. Now, the next one is in regard to the audit. And once again, another unfunded mandate the district has. It's in regard to the auditing and the accounting of the district. You see that it is going up next year. One of the main reasons is we're going after an RFP this year for additional services, because we have all these new requirements that are happening year in and year out between the GASB reports and different financials. So that the expenses for that is going up. And once again, that's an unfunded mandate that we have. One of the other auditing things we have with that is also, if you remember, the single audit that we have to do because of all the federal aid we're receiving. So that's one of the reasons why that's going up as much as it is. Then you have the district clerk, banking fees, and the BOCES cooperative bid program. That's the expense that we have in regard to the different bids that we use BOCES service for, that they charge us for, and it helps us get the most competitive prices that we can for the services we have in the district. The 1420s you'll see is the legal services throughout the district. We have the retainer for day in and day out. We have the labor retention. And these are all contractual that we have through the RFP that we went out with a number of years ago. The next thing, the 1430s, is the personnel. That's all the contractual items that we have in the personnel office. You'll see that the school community relations is going up a little bit. That's all the printing and advertising that we do in the district, through whether it's for the jobs that we're posting in Newsday or also the printing of the calendars. Those expenses are all going up each year, and that's one of the reasons why you see an increase there. And then you see the supplies, which is staying basically the same. Now, the next one is the one we always discuss each year during this one. This is the administrative BOCES expenses that we have. And it's always big number. So what I'd like to do is describe exactly what is in that one. The BOCES, that's all the technology that you see. Like we're having the streaming service here tonight. That's one of the expenses that we have through BOCES. And it's a whole number of different things. I think getting a little older now, it's getting harder and harder to see different things. But it's all in regard to the website that we have, the security system we have for the website, board docs, the election system, data privacy, all the different software that's required to run in the business office, also ASOP, different Power School, all those ones we have for the district. We have our also in regard to the virtual meetings that we have, all the streaming services that we have to pay for to go through the test scoring and things along those lines. So this winds up being about $699,000 for next year, and a little bit of increase. Once again, this is also the section I like to bring up that even though you see that, it's also the one we're getting about 74% back each year, the following year in regard to the services. Insurance, you see that's going up a little bit next year. One of the main reasons for that is if you look at the insurance numbers through the years, they've basically stayed status quo a little bit. But as you know, over the past few years, Long Island has been hit hard in regard to a lot of property damage with the different storms that we've had here. And the insurance companies, it's one of the reasons why the rates are going up a little higher. One of the other reasons why it's a little higher this year is that we're insuring all the technology that we have in the district. So that's one of the other expenses that we have to make that we haven't had in the past. We moved to the one-to-one devices, so we have to make sure that each one of those are insured, as well as every computer that you see in the district, all of these, the smart boards and things along those lines. So each of those things have to be insured, as well as like cybersecurity and things along those lines. Now, the BOCES administrative expenses and the rental of property. Those last two is the administrative expenses is the BOCES services. It's their salaries and expenses for them to be able to run the day in, day out services. And the rental of property is in regard to what it takes to run their facilities. What happens is they have their own budget, and then they look to see the services each of the districts have, and we want to pay a percentage based upon our usage of it. So each district varies each year depending on how much you actually use it. So let's just say If they added up everything together, North Merrick wound up being 15% of all the services, we'd have 15% of their budget. And that's what that expense there is.
Is that the copy machine, part of the rental property, right?
No, actually, the funny thing, the copy machines is actually the other ones we just discussed earlier, the 1680.
Okay, so what goes under the rental property here?
The rental property is their property, Bosse's property. The expenses in regard to their property that they have to charge the district for. And that's what we
The
want.
schools that they use,
Yes.
that our district sends students to. And we actually received a refund this year because a lot of their expenses are also anticipated based on the services that districts they anticipate signing up for. And we actually, all districts received a refund, I think it was in the special education area, based on the enrollment that they had, and it was divided by each of the school districts. I forget how much that check was, Tom.
67.
70, I think it was
Yeah,
about
67.
$70,000.
Yeah. About that. So that, which is good. So that was that. The next area is the 2000s. So we'll go back into. This is now the supervision of the district. So the 2010s is the salaries we go to the curriculum office. That's basically the clerical staff that's needed to run the curriculum office. Contractual, supplies, global compliance network, professional development. See, professional development is going up a little bit next year. We have different science and reading programs that we're doing next year that we'll be having more development for. And the model school base, the BOCES model school base, that's in regard to the technology, professional development that we receive from BOCES for the services that we have. Next 2020s is the salaries of all the principals' offices. It's the principals themselves as well as the clerical staff associated with it. Next area you'll see is the equipment for HDF 1800. You're going to see that. That's going to go into some of the tables that are starting to go that we required to fix. And the equipment for the next one, what you see is $12,000. You haven't seen that one in the past. That one's in regard for district-wide equipment for new keyboards and drums that are necessary to run the concerts that we have each year that are a great show. If you haven't seen them, make sure you go out and see the next one. They're very good. The copy of rentals, this is for the individual buildings, and that's the associated cost in regard to the paper and printing from those copiers. And the travel to the conferences, that's in regard to expenses for traveling from the principals to the conferences. Now, the next areas you're going to see, now if you remember we discussed last time around, I'm sorry, the last digit of all the numbers, where you see here the 01, 02, and keep going back, 03. The 01, anytime you see 01, that's related to any supplies or expenses going to the Camp Avenue School. The 02 is any expenses that are going to HDF School, or Howard Lafayette, and 3 is for the Old Mill Road School. So you're going to see each of these, and then each of them have their own. So you have the supplies, the postage, the in-service training and mentoring that each of them have. Now, the next area we want to discuss, and that's the whole admin portion of it. The only thing that's missing from that is the benefits that are associated with it. We're going to go through that at the next budget meeting because it's going to be combined for the entire district, just so you can see a full picture regarding to the different benefits. So the capital portion is next, and what that is we discussed it's the operation and maintenance of the camps and facilities. And one of the things you're going to see when we review this is, once again, just like your own home gas expenses, maintenance of your own properties is all going up over the past few years. Same thing's going on here each year. So we have to be ready for and basically pay for each year. So what do we have first? Well, one of the things we're going to review real quick is all the great projects that we have been working on over the past years. Also the budget components. We're going to go through each line by line of the budget, and we're going to review the increases and decreases, but also we're going to go through the upcoming projects for the next year. So I'm going to ask Mr. Carter just to come up to relieve me for a second, and he'll go through all of the projects.
Thank you, Tom. So we'll just run real quick.
Yeah,
You'll do it? All right. So these are some of the projects that we've done over the last year or maybe two, depending on how many years of transfer capital went into it. New fence, water heaters. We replaced some brick over here that was cracking and spalling. Countertops and sinks. Hey, in the art room back there. We did the LED lighting project to this in this building, and not only, I was shocked because I knew it was going to be zero cost, and I just found out that we got a rebate check for $16,700 and change, just because we got it done before the close of last year. So, I mean, they paid us to get lights. It's pretty awesome. So, air conditioners, we consistently add air conditioning at every chance we can. We did some upkeep projects like the rooftop duct insulation. The roof membrane at camp was coming loose. We had to fix that. We did all the window counterbalances. Now, that was a grant project. Now that makes the windows open and close nice and easy. They're decent windows. They're double pane. They're good. So we wanted to just keep them going. We restored the flagpole, Old Mill Road sign, Old Mill Road front lawn sign. Anybody who's driven past Old Mill has seen that new sign, the red sign. It looks great. So this is what we have underway right now. We're in the process of installing air conditioning in Old Mill and camp cafeterias. Anybody who's been by Old Mill sees that the front playground's getting done and swing set in the back. We are in the process with BOCES and Digital Provisions to migrate over to new security software, replace the exterior boiler room door and a bunch of other doors throughout the district. It was like 10 lines. I narrowed it down to like 1 because there's so many doors. We're just doing them here and there as needed. And that's good for the hardening of the building. I just want to mention, it's just the doors are going to latch better. They're going to be more useful. They're more efficient. They're less prone to, just propping open, which scares me. And what we have upcoming is the corridor ceilings and lighting at Old Mill. That's going to happen this summer. That's being done through a grant and some transfer to capital money. The grant didn't cover it, so we had to cover a portion of that. We are hoping to replace the playground and swings here at HD Fayette, the ones on the lawn. We hope to do that before the summer. We just talked to the senator's office about that funding, and they said it's tied up in Albany because everybody stopped doing everything because they're doing the budget. Like Tom, it's all about the budget in Albany. Camp Avenue lighting, I'd like to do that. That's low-hanging fruit. I'd really like to do the Camp Avenue gym lighting with LED fixtures if we don't do a more comprehensive LED project. More air conditioners. We just got to keep going over at camp and get that place, get as many rooms as we can done. Fence and gates around the front. So we have the playgrounds done. We're going to put a taller fence with some gates, a secondary gate out to the back. It's just, I think it's better to have a tall gate around that playground. Classroom floors. Camp's got 2, and they have a lot of bad floors, but they have 2 that are particularly bad that we want to take care of. There's asbestos removal involved in that, so that's a costly one. And there's a chimney cap that we need over here at the HDF boiler stack. It leaks when it rains. So custodial salaries, that's pretty much managed between Tom and I, based on my needs and what he knows about the contract and all the benefits and all that stuff. Building equipment, that's just the floor buffing machines, the wet vacs, all the stuff that the custodial staff uses. I guess I knocked a couple of bucks off that. Contracted services, that's anytime we go out to hire an HVAC guy or a plumbing company or a grease trap company. That goes under that code. We bumped that up just a little bit this year. Now, security went way up, and unfortunately, it's because we put that night patrol on, which has been very, very effective in keeping our buildings safe. And we've seen a huge decline in vandalism and loitering and bottles and stuff.
Just to piggyback on that, one of the main things with this, if you look here, back in 2019 was the first year we actually started with security. Before that, it was 0. And now you look at, we went from $30,000, we're already up to 107. It's another one of those unfunded mandates that we always keep talking about to keep everyone safe and things along those lines. We've been able to absorb it in the budget over the past few years.
So equipment rental,
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
can
of
you
course.
just give us the details of that, because that's a lot of money for the 3 schools, so security camp, HDNL is 24/7 there?
it's 7 days a week from 7 PM to midnight, which is like the witching hour.
Okay,
That's when they go around the district, they lock all the gates, so that the gates after dark are off, property's off limits. And then at the end of their shift at midnight, they go and unlock the gates so that the next morning, anybody who wants to use the fields or the playgrounds can do that. Just having that car, it's not a cop car, but with the yellow lights, in the parking lot, kids will just look elsewhere, And I see video all the time of them just stopping, getting out, beat it, carload of kids. It's been, since I got here, it's like night and day. I mean, we were having some real vandalism problems, especially behind Old Mill. It was like a, favorite haunt for the kids.
And if you recall the playground, what had happened with the broken glass and shut the playground down in Old Mill for quite a long time, so we don't want to relive that at all.
So other services, that's like consulting, architecture, fire inspectors, stuff like that. This year we don't have to do, we just did the building condition survey, so we don't have to do that. That's why that went down a little bit. District mileage is just for conferences and stuff, and if our guys get training, they get paid back for their mileage. Health and safety, yeah, I'm going blind too, Tom. Health and safety, it's not really, no change. Advertising, we have to put ads in the paper for bids and for also for employment positions. Fuel, I just simply did the math. What fuel oil costs right now times 7,500 gallons per building. That's the amount of fuel that I feel we might need if the gas infrastructure were to go down. It's a crap's cost, I'd love to have more money there, but year after year, we don't use it. So I just want to be kind of right in between. I don't want to have too much, but I don't think we haven't used it in a few years, and I hope not to.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Go ahead. No, you got it. Next page.
Yeah, so this is gas. Yeah, so this is gas. We've been consuming less than you would think because of the building management system. And, the bond project is really showing how much the savings, we're realizing those savings, but the costs go up. So I followed this trend at the gas at Old Mill. I mean, it was crazy in 21, 22 expenses. So I bumped it up at that one building, even though we're using less, the cost per therm is more right now. So we're kind of walking a tightrope between savings and costs going up. Electric, they only went up a little bit at each building due to cost again, but also because we're air conditioning buildings. We all know air conditioners use power. So I bumped up a little, I kept a little bit of money for air conditioning at camp and Old Mill, where we're doing that project right now. Water it's been going up now that American's been sold again. It's just crazy what the price is. District telephone, we took a device off, so it just went down a little bit. General cleaning supplies. That formula appears to be broken, but it did go up a few grand this year, just because all of our expenses are going up. They're charging for freight now, where there used to be free deliveries. It's not anymore because gas and everything costs so much. So just to be able to keep the buildings properly stocked, I had to throw a little bit of extra money on there. General non-consumable supplies. Those are items between $500 and $1,000. So that's your vacuums, some of your shop vacs, some of the tools. So that actually went down this year. I think I took one of the things we bought last year I didn't need, took it out, and that's where we got that savings. Electrical supplies, all of these supplies are just for the guys who do the repairs to the building. Excuse me. They need supplies to do the repairs to the building, so the maintenance guys, we have lines for everything. Other expenses, that's That is uniforms, office supplies, and yeah,
Yeah, it's better.
yeah, just odd, things that don't fall under another category. COVID, I don't even want to look at those.
Another year they'll be off budget. We won't even be seeing that hopefully anymore after this.
BOCES Health and Safety, that's for our safety consultant. Again, salaries, Tom and I went back and forth based on what's being negotiated, what I need, where I can save some money. We've been doing a lot less overtime, which has been very helpful.
Mr. Carter, can we just go back, the BOCES Health and Safety? Is that the person that has to come in and check off, make sure the lights are
Yes,
correct?
as
It's on our safety committee.
she's our health and safety consultant. So the safety plan, all of our inspections, our compliance with right to know, hepatitis B vaccines and all that stuff, we partner with BOCES for that. She's the one that's always at our district-wide safety meetings, at our building level
Mandates
safety.
that come in from the stage, making sure we're doing everything.
Absolutely.
And-
She keeps it.
Right, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Carter, you had mentioned lights, she's not the light person, she's here to ensure that all of our drills are in compliance with what needs to be done in each of our schools. As Mr. Carter said, she sits on all of our safety committees, and she will make recommendations if needed in each of our buildings, and she's very big with situational awareness and any questions that we have, because thank goodness we haven't experienced an emergency for real, that what if this happens, she will get the answer for us, she'll come to the committee meetings and she'll explain that. And she's a wealth of knowledge, and we share her with North Belmore
Yeah.
specifically, which is what keeps the cost down. So she comes here once every 2 weeks, I believe.
Every other
and she
weekend.
also runs her schedule around our safety meetings.
Correct.
So it's all about the health and safety and of our buildings, of our staff, of our students, of our community.
Yeah, she did the PPE plan, she does all the compliance binders.
And another one that we received, BOCES 74% aid back on the following year.
So moving right along, grounds equipment, this is, last year it was for a truck, this year it's for a mower, like a mower you'd use to mow giant lawns like we have, and a trailer to tow that. Building inspections, I mean, there's a multitude of inspections every year, and we have to pay for that. That's an unfunded mandate. They say you have to have it inspected, but they don't give you the money to inspect it. Building repairs district-wide, again, that's just tradespeople coming in for actual physical plant repairs. Building equipment repairs, something breaks, one of our equipment, a snow blower, we fix it. Grounds equipment maintenance, that's really trucks and stuff like that, mowers. Tools, that went up $4,000 because of one specific tool I'm requesting is a Pro Press. It does copper pipe without smoke or fire, which would be really nice in a building, in a school that we could work without torches. So that's a specific request.
And then we also wanted to contract out for services like that. too.
Yeah, I mean, once my guys have that tool, that's that many less plumbers and fitters I have to call. Non-consumable supplies, again, that's the items between 5 and 1,000. So that's got vacuums in it. Yeah, vacuums and rotaries. Building repair supplies. Building repair supplies it's a bunch of different codes that we combined for this that would make it easier to purchase at Lowe's, at Granger and stuff like that. This is the stuff I buy for the maintenance and light fixtures and ballast and stuff like that. Heating supplies, obvious.
And just to piggyback that real quick, I apologize. You also look at the years. It's also bringing it more in line to what we're actually spending each year. You see the increase of $15,000, but if you really look at it over the past few years, we've been around $42,000, $46,000. So we've had these expenses. We do have the older buildings that need to be fixed. There's certain things that have to be done year in and year out. So that's why you see that's going up like that. And then you just have the glass windows and regular ground supplies. The ground supplies is basically for the maintenance guys outside.
Yes, it's topsoil, it's the mulch that we put in the beds and all the stuff that the trees and things we buy.
I'll take the last one.
Thank you.
No problem. The last couple of ones you'll see here is the serial bond, the bond that we have that we went out in 2015. It's the principal payment as well as the interest payment that we have for that. We have that bond paid, and Mr. Nell had asked, I think, last time around. It's 2034 is the year it's finally finished, the bond. And then the interest is for the TAN, tax anticipation note. And the transfer to capital, you see it's going down just a little bit. That's the projects that we discussed earlier on the slide that Mr. Carter was discussing that the district needs to do. So that's the whole thing in regard to the administrative and the capital portion of it. Once again, next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to be, and I think it's the 28th, we're gonna have a follow-up meeting in the boardroom. If anyone saw the live stream last week, no one showed up for it. And, you know, it's one of those things, we have a lot of people actually showing up online watching this now. And I kind of feel that the reason why no one's showing up for that meeting anymore is that we're more accessible to everybody now with everything being streamed. So that's something we're going to look into again next year in regard to the budget meetings. So then March 1st is when we have to file a tax cap. So we'll have more information in the next couple of weeks in regard to what's going on with that. Then the next full meeting of us, again, will be on March 14th. And that's going to be the one that we're going to go through all the programs and the benefits for the district. And that's always a fun one to do because you get to see all the wonderful things that we're doing here with the children and things along those lines. Once again, then we'll have a follow-up meeting again. And then on April 4th, it's the budget adoption. And then we start getting ready for the budget vote in May. So that's the whole process of what's going to happen over the next few months. We went through the administrative portion and the capital portion. At this time, for the committee members, is there any questions that you have in regard to what we've discussed? Raise your hand, Beth.
I just had one. Do you happen to know if our cybersecurity insurance includes ransomware attack coverage?
Yes, we do. That's one of the reasons why it is going up a little bit too. That's one of the other insurances that is in that insurance coverage that we were discussing earlier tonight.
I mean, because that could make you more of a target, because typically if you know you have it, they know they can get it, and it makes premiums very high.
Correct. We do have cyber insurance. We do.
Well, not but like specifically for ransomware coverage.
We do have coverage.
I'm going to jump in there. So one of the things we do is we house everything off-site. So when you're looking for insurance, that's a piece of added protection for school districts. If you look at the school districts that were cyber attacked and had to pay the ransomware, their systems were housed in-house. So we feel there's an added layer of protection, but we would not be diligent if we didn't have that insurance coverage, although it is costing us more. It is recommended to have in case there is a need, but when with dealing with both Nassau BOCES and having everything off-site, it does give us that added layer of protection, which is very comforting to us, that it would just shut down and they wouldn't be able to access our information, our data. But yes, it does increase. It's this, so which is the best thing to do? Having it off premises is a good thing to do.
That's a great thing, but just knowing that that money's there, that they can hold you ransom and get that money,
Right.
almost increases
The risk.
the risk that they would do it, because there's something in it for them, whereas if you don't have it, you know, and you're off-site, it's almost.
Isn't it part of the nicer plan though?
It's part
Is
of
it
our nicer plan.
the
that we
umbrella
have.
plan, so to speak?
So it's included with it's a separate portion of the auto, we have auto, general liability, and we have cyber insurance through them. Not only is the ransom, but it also helps protect the district in case there's any costs associated with getting things back up and running too. So it helps in both manners of it. And like Dr. Simiak had said, one of the great things, everything's backed up at BOCES,
Right.
24 hours. If we were ever to have something, we're prepared.
And if that's known, that's going to be also a deterrent, maybe we become less of a target.
Right.
When we were talking about auditing earlier in the presentation, that was auditing for the business office mostly, and Mr. Carter spoke about that too. New York State is coming ordered to do a cyber audit on us. And we are taking protection and ensuring that we have everything in place, because they'll come in
and tell us, well, you're being, this was not done correctly, this was not done correctly. So that is part of our letter of intent with the vote. Now, suppose they deal with companies who come in and actually audit you and prepare you for when and if the state comes in. Ms. Calvert, what's the name of that company? Reeds?
We're going to be working with Garnet River to do
Garnet
gap
River.
analysis.
Yes. And that helps us. So if there are recommendations that we can put in place to ensure that we are less at risk, then we will be doing that also.
Any other questions in regard to anything we discussed? Yes.
Just a general question that the 23-24 proposed, are you just looking at the 22-23 budget? Do you also take consideration of like the full year forecast with some actual year-to-date?
We look at everything. We look at everything. We look at the trends over the past few years, what we're actually spending currently today, what's needed right now that's going to be carried over to the new school year. We have meetings with the principals and all the different administrators. We go through line by line in regard to what exactly is needed in each of those codes. So whether what we've done in the past or what we anticipate doing in the future.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, just if possible, I think like have some visibility of the full year spending will be kind of helpful for comparison.
And obviously, we take inflation
Yeah.
into consideration now when we're planning ahead.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you everyone once again for being part of the committee, coming down here and reviewing this and discussing it with us tonight. Thank you for everyone at home for watching. We're going to now take a quick break. The board meeting will start at 7 o'clock. We're just going to rearrange the room here and see everybody in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to call the guys out.
February meeting, we're having this tonight, and due to Valentine's Day tomorrow, even though you're all my Valentine, I'm spending with my family instead. Thanks for showing up tonight, we're gonna try and make this as brief as possible. I'm gonna ask for you rise to pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to make my remarks brief tonight so we can get to our business at hand, but first of all, I just wanted to mention, board, we went to the Merrick Chamber of Commerce dinner with our administration and Dr. Stiniak, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago or so, at Rio Posto. It was a very nice event, and these are all the many awards and accolades that were bestowed upon our district, and Dr. Stiniak did a lovely job thanking everyone representing the district, and it was a very nice night out. And it's anytime our district gets recognized for the good that you do, I think it's positive for the whole, for everyone. Also, we have a few busy things. I want to say congratulations to the school district, but also thank you to Dr. Stiniak for representing us so well. We're very lucky and fortunate. Personally, I went to the Wing Shark Tank event a few weeks ago, and I have to tell you, that was probably the best days I've had out all year. So it was a great time. The kids, I was amazed. I can't believe it was just 5th grade. They did a great job. Everybody, I mean, administration up here, Jackie, Dr. Stiniak, it was quite the night. But the projects that these kids did, again, I'm going to just rave about our WINGS program and just what the district's doing. There are so many inventions on there that should go on the real Shark Tank. I couldn't do that in 5th grade, so I commend everyone involved. It was very nice, great turnout. This was packed in here, and it was just very nice for everyone. And I do want to mention we did start our budget meetings. We added that extra one that we promised. That was, I believe, on January 31st. I think we've had 3, and 1 prior tonight, 2 before that. So I think it's a total of 3 so far. Yep. So thank you for that, and that seems to be moving along pretty well. Thank you, Dave. And lastly, I want to, in case I forget, at the end of our meeting, I just want to wish everyone a nice break. I think we all can use it, especially our Shark Tank participants. Maybe they can figure out some more projects. But I'm going to refer everything over to Dr. Stiniak for her comments.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Good evening. So good to see everybody on this February evening. Great weather we're having. Don't want to jinx it, but it feels like spring, which is a nice feeling. Our Scope Saturday and our Spanish Saturday programs are in full bloom. Children are thrilled to come to school on a Saturday morning. Who knew? That's great, great accolades to all of our staff working. Ms. Hosevar does an amazing job supervising that program. And it's so nice to see children in a different atmosphere when they're in their school. Totally different look than arrival at 8:15 Monday through Friday. So that Saturday morning smile is very nice. And Mr. Merrick is usually here, so he gets to also participate in that joy. Our SCOPE program, again, this summer, we are now under the leadership of Ms. Cadiz putting together our summer programs. After the break, we will put out more information, but we plan on having SCOPE, Camp Invention, our BOCES reading program, our music program, our summer lunch bunch clubs, and looking forward to rearranging some of those times so that children can possibly attend SCOPE in the morning and then Camp Invention in the afternoon to open up more opportunities for parents. I'm not going to say to get rid of their children, but for more enrichment for their children. So looking forward to making the summer always looking to enhance it and enrich it. Yes, the Chamber dinner was wonderful. I'm truly honored to represent North Merrick School District as the Superintendent of Schools, and it was a wonderful, magical evening for all of us. Our budget meetings are going well, as Ms. Ryan spoke. Thank you to Mr. McDade and the entire team working very hard, crunching those numbers, and still waiting to finalize everything. Kindergarten registration, thank you, Ms. Long. You did an amazing job. We had 3 days of kindergarten registration where approximately 140 students as of February 10th, I think the number was, for next year, which is a little bit on par with looking at the trends over the last 5 years, pretty much stable. We always do get more people registering from now until September, and we'll be filling those classes in each of our schools. Our UPK application process ended last Friday, February 10th, and we have approximately 140 families who registered 4-year-olds for our program. This year, we had approximately 75 students enter into our first year of UPK. We have received additional funding, but the state has not told us yet what that tuition amount per student will be. So in light of that, we are forging ahead with our lottery, which is this Friday at 9 a.m. live stream from the boardroom. I will be there, but Ms. Long will be there, and we do the old-fashioned bingo wheel. And we will pick 140 names. We're going to assign everyone a number in that lottery, but we cannot start assigning programs or schools, etc., because the state has not given us those details yet. But we didn't feel it was good to put the lottery off. So at least if I'm a parent and I'm number 26, I'm thinking I have a really good shot. We have approximately 75 seats this year, and we are going to have more, maybe about 110 to 120 seats next year, that I know I'm in a good place. But if I, which would totally happen to me, get picked as number 140, I might start looking around. But I would still be hopeful, because although we seated 74, 75 students, we actually had about 90 people who wanted seats. They just decided last minute not to take the placement, so we were able to move along on the list. So I know that's a lot of information, but we want to keep the public informed, and we don't want to push this lottery off. So looking forward to that bingo wheel on Friday, right, Ms. Long?
I'm looking forward.
And last but certainly not least, we had our PTA District Council meeting this morning, our monthly meeting. I know that Ms. Keene will give the details, or Mr. Corona, but I will tell you, as always, such a great meeting. We gathered so much information from our PTA presidents, our sector president, our principals participate. Ms. Calvert gives us our library updates, our instructional technology. Mr. McDade gives the business update. Ms. Cadiz gives curriculum update. So it really is a very positive meeting, and we all love to share. Mr. Corona will give those details as we move on. And that's all for me.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Sweetheart Dance last Friday. So I have to say to PTA, they have here, Alyssa's Restaurant, you know, that would be a big night in our household. So we are down. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Stan. Can I have a motion to approve our routine approvals listed on the agenda 3A through 3C? Motion by Mr.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Mello. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Public comments. This is the first 2 public comments tonight. I'll just read it once though. Agenda items only. Guidelines for a comment. Any person wishing to make comments or raise questions shall fill out a comment card. After you are called, please come forward to the microphone. State your full name. All comments and questions shall be directed to me or to Dr. Ziniak. The board or administration will do our best to meet and respond to any questions. Out of courtesy and fairness to the rest of the audience, each person will limit his or her remarks to no more than 3 minutes, not to exceed a 30-minute session. The public discussion with respect to confidential matters is prohibited. So, do we have any comments tonight for the agenda items only? Agenda? Excellent, all right. I'm going to move the calendar on. Have a motion to approve 5A through 5E. Is listed in the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Corona, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion unanimously passes. And a motion to approve our car report as listed 6A. Motion by Ms. Keener's going to keep it going. Second by Ms. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And a motion to approve our special services as listed 7A through 7E. Ms. Keener, we're going hot tonight. Here we go. Second by Ms. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
And most importantly, the report of the committee. So I think high school, Mr. Coyle, you're up
Got it.
tonight.
Okay, so our high school meeting was actually 2 weeks ago. We took a gap this year between this one and this month. First we did, we recognized a lot of county championships at Calhoun High School. Calhoun cross country boys won the county championship, Calhoun boys volleyball county champs, and Calhoun girls were New York State champions. That's a pretty big deal in volleyball. We have a new coach up there, Christina Resnick, who's actually a former Calhoun graduate, has doing a really great job up there, coaching girls
Ron,
volleyball.
I'm gonna interrupt right there because I had the privilege, I happened to be at the county executive's office when the girls were there getting their citations, the entire team, the parents, the coaches, they spoke very well, but more importantly, they lit the dome with Nassau County for cold colors, blue and white, so I mean, as an alum, I was amazed, so my son here doesn't think that's so exciting, but I was very excited for that, so
Yeah,
congratulations, first time ever, cold colors, the
That's
dome,
awesome.
so yeah, I'll let you go.
Yeah, Christina Resnick, Streznick, a big name in Merrick sports, anyone knows Eric Streznick out there, he was everywhere. We had 2 Regeneron finalists, both at Kennedy High School. So Regeneron finalists are students who come up with a science project. It's not really a project, though, you see what these are, they're pretty intense. Anyway, they present to Regeneron, and they pick 300, only 300 in the entire nation, and we had 2 of them at Kennedy High School. We had Tyler Bisondale and Lou Feldman, who won that very prestigious award. We also recognized Erin Thompson, a MEPM teacher who just recently got national board certification, and also Eric Cavallero, our athletic director for the district. He also got recognition for the National Administrators for Athletics. And then Mr. Burson also presented about our district One Voice, One Message program. This is district-wide, and students came up with a week of service during Martin Luther King Week. And they showed us all the things they did that week. They collected money and they collected goods for the community covered. They also created a whole week worth of lesson plans and activities in the message of sharing and being for service for our community. That's that. I'll move right along to PTA.
Sure.
Great. All right, so PTA Roundup, Fayette. Our next meeting is actually this Wednesday, the 15th at 7 p.m. They had their mother-son event, was at Wanhall Lanes, and all the kids loved it. Books will be distributed on Valentine's Day, and of course you heard about the Sweetheart Dance, that was Friday, great turnout, and again, a big shout out to the Lease family, to the Lease's restaurant, who donated all the food. Camp Avenue, Harlem Wizards are coming on March 20th for International Day of Happiness. The Science Fair has begun. Their second book fair will be February 16th. Founders Day is February 17th. And they're going to have their second session of Jump Punch on March 6th. Evening event sports night will begin on February 10th. They also have it for K through 1, February 17th for grades 2 to 3, and March 3rd for grades 4 to 6. And their next meeting is February 15th, 7:30 Zoom. I guess they're alternating back and forth between Zoom and in person at Camp Avenue. Oak Mill Road, March 20th, yoga workshop for Breathe and Flow Yoga. They have a variety show coming up. Oak Mill Road's Got Talent, grades 5 and 6. They have February 9th rehearsals, March 9th, and April 25th. They also have February 10th, Sweethearts Dance for grades K through 3. And their fundraiser right now is Mama's Custom Cookies. Their next meeting is March 8th, 7 p.m. And SEPTA on February 7th had their second Arts-tastic night at Camp Avenue. Students created different mediums to have a mug of hot chocolate. Their fundraiser is Distribution My Pizza Heart fundraiser. Takes place on February 9th. And distribution of their second round of SEPTA Spirit Wear will be happening during this week. And that's all I've got for PTA District Council.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carter, buildings and grounds report. No snow removal, so that's good,
No
right?
snow removal, just a little bit of salt once. So we've been real busy budget planning. Mr. McDade and I have been going back and forth with the budget to make it work with everyone else's budget. So we crunches all those numbers. It's been pretty crazy, a lot of hours, a lot of spreadsheets, boy. The Old Mill Road Playground, very excited to announce that this is underway, almost, it should be complete, weather provided, maybe the end of this week. An amazing company installing it. It's coming out great, they're doing a magnificent job, so that's really exciting. The kids are just like all around that fence every morning, just, they're so excited. We're currently installing the air conditioning in the Old Mill Road cafeteria, which is part of the Old Mill Road and camp cafeteria is getting cooling. Camp is coming, but right now we're working in Old Mill, going great. It'll be ready and up and running for the hot season. I'm working with BOCES and a vendor for a security software upgrade, which is going to be great. Like any technology, it goes obsolete after a while. The stuff we have has been finicky and giving us problems, cameras going out. Not necessarily the cameras, but the software itself. So this is going to be amazing to get that worked out. Dr. Senyak and I spoke to Steve Rhodes' office today because when John Brooks was in there, we got a grant for a playground here at HDF. And now that he's not there, we had to track it down, and we are in good shape. We're exactly where we need to be. And so we're looking, hopefully, we're very positive, we're very hopeful that we'll have the money in April, and we'll get started right away on that. See how great it went here at Old Mill, so hoping for the same here. The guys getting ready for February break, you know, we take an opportunity to get into the nooks and crannies of the building, get them clean. We're doing the gym floors, you know, we'll put a coat of poly on the floor so that they look good. And Theater Arts is coming, and I know that because the guys emptied a gigantic overseas container full of theater art stuff today and brought it to Brookside, so that's gonna be exciting. It's the Wizard of Oz.
Yes, March 17th and 18th, the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, so everybody get ready for that. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Long, any communications?
Yeah, we received one communications last Friday, and it was responded to and handled.
Thank you. Any unfinished business from the board? New business of the board? Any public comments? Oh, does not pertain to the agenda, any public, any takers? Excellent. It's my Valentine's Day gift right there. Thank you. On that note, I'm going to ask for an adjournment. One second. All right, 1 second by Tracy Miller, Earl Hunting, aye. Aye. Thank you. Have a great vacation next week. Thank you. All right.